it's Sailor Leoka for life, and this is my overall review and opinion of Fate, the Winx saga, released in the UK and on Netflix in general, so we can all watch it. This is my overall review of the series. I have finished watching it now, so you guys can know what my thoughts are and my feelings of it are. So I reviewed every episode after I'd watched it, and summarized kind of what happened and told what scenes I liked and what things that they changed that I liked and didn't like and all of that. So I've done an overall video at this point, or I've done a whole 6 videos at this point for the series. So yeah, so I've done a whole 6 episodes, a review of each episode as I went. So now you're getting my review of the entire series as a whole. This is looking, so I'm looking back at the whole thing of how I felt about it and how they changed things, and what major differences there were, and how I felt about the changes that they did make, and about the series in general. So, spoiler warning, spoiler warning, spoiler warning. This will contain spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, don't watch this video. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Stop. Go. Leave my channel. Go watch the series if you don't want spoilers. Don't watch this video. Don't do it. If you don't care about spoilers and you are fine with knowing all of the spoilers to spoil the show, then you can feel free to stay here. Or if you've already watched it, great. Then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So, moving into it, I had so many pages of notes. I took notes on every episode because you know me, I will go on and on if I don't have something actually reading from. So I think that really helped me in this entire thing. I will say that I'm an original fan. I'm an original fan of the original Winx Club, which is why I have Bloom cosplay. This is one of my regular shirts, but I know she's worn a similar striped shirt in season 2. Also this is my Bloom wig and makeup and everything. So yeah, I would get the wings out, but I just don't have time right now. And also because then I'd have to clean up all the sparkles from the wings. And if you want to see them, go look at my other videos with my Bloom cosplay almost finished as transformed Bloom. So go look at those if you want to see the wings. Anyways, yeah, so I'm an original fan since I was a child of the Winx Club. I watched all the English dubs. I grew up with 4 kids, but then when I got older, I watched it in Raya English, or R-A-I English. It's not I don't know if that's pronounced Raya. I think it's because it's supposed to be Rainbow, because they're the original creators of the show, or owners of the show. So, but yeah, I've watched all the different dub types. I kind of fell off after season 4, or during season 4, kind of in general. So if you want to know where I am in the series in regards of, I did keep up with the series, but I really started falling off of it and not watching it fully anymore and really just losing interest. I mean, I've peeked in every now and again for Winx World and all the seasons past season 4, but really season 3 was the ending to me. To me, the first 3 seasons were the best. Where they were focused, they were centered, and they had a clear objective with Bloom and everything. And after that, when they changed the animation style, they also changed a lot more than that, and they didn't transition well into season 4. They really didn't. And then after that, they dropped a lot of stuff, and I didn't like that. Anyways, I'm an original fan of seasons 1 through 3 via English, so which are the only dub that truly stuck to the original Italian script and did not make unnecessary edit outs and all of that. So that's why they're my favorite, and that's why they're the best one to watch. Because they stay the truest to the show. That being said, going into this overall review of Fate, gonna go about the characters first. So we're gonna talk about the characters. Bloom is actually pretty spot on. I'm not gonna lie, she is, I don't know why this seems different. But she seems pretty spot on yet. So honestly, Bloom, she's irrational sometimes, she's impulsive sometimes, she actually does care about people, she wants things to be simple, she doesn't like having so much drama, or at least she doesn't want more complications in her life than there already are. And yeah, so she's actually pretty spot on. She can be rational and impulsive. I mean, she's my favorite character. So, of course, I know these are truths about her. So they did stick pretty spot on with Bloom. Gave her a little bit of a darker past, almost, kind of. I mean, her past was pretty dark as it was, with Darkar making Valtor and the witches go after Domino and destroy Domino to capture Bloom, which Daphne saved, though the ancestral witches cursed Daphne, so she's basically kind of dead, or at least trapped. And sealing away everyone else and all of Domino, basically. So Bloom grew up with her Earth parents not knowing she wasn't from Earth and all of that, and that she was a fairy. So yeah, that was true in here. She didn't know she was a fairy, but she genuinely believed these were her parents, which she genuinely did believe. And she didn't find out from them. Big difference in the show was that Aisha's the one that made the connection that Bloom was a changeling, meaning she was switched at birth, basically. Or while in the womb, she was switched out with another baby. So her parents really did believe this entire time that Bloom was their daughter. And they did not tell Bloom she was adopted because they didn't know. They didn't know themselves until the end of the series, so when Bloom tells them, but they didn't know themselves, and Bloom didn't have issues controlling her powers while on Earth. That's not why she came to Althea. The original series, of course, Stella brought her there. She discovered her and brought her there, and revealed everything to Mike and Vanessa, who knew that Bloom was adopted, but they told her later. In the first season, when Bloom went on her first fall break or something and went home, Mike and Vanessa told Bloom she was adopted. So they didn't know about the magic and stuff, but they did know that they found her and then adopted her. So that was a big difference from the original series, that in Fate, they did not know she wasn't their child, because she was birthed from that mom, even though, yeah, so they had no idea. And Bloom didn't have problems with her powers, therefore hiding in an abandoned warehouse and Farragonda finding her. So Bloom didn't, she didn't find it out the same way. And Stella 100% did not bring her to the academy, to Althea. So that was a major difference with Stella. Honestly, she was probably one of the biggest changes. No, she wasn't. Her personality was one of the biggest changes in regards of her character. Of the characters altogether, everyone's gonna be like, oh, Tekna's not in here. Yeah, Tekna doesn't exist in this. There's no technology fairies, which honestly makes sense. It makes a little more sense, to be honest. So I know a lot of people are pissed about that, but it's like, honestly, I get it. I get why they would take her out. She wasn't. I'm not gonna bash Tekna because I don't have anything against Tekna, but I do see why, for their writers' reasons, that they did take her out. I do understand. I'm not saying I'm happy about it or anything, but I understand. Then, okay, so we have Bloom, checked off. Her biggest difference, she was coming to terms with all of this, and all of this new world, and her not being actually, her parents not actually being her parents, and her powers and all of that. So she's going through that. And then we got Musa. Musa, I love Musa. She is not a fairy of music, but she does have her headphones on a lot, and she does listen to music a lot, and she apparently used to dance, so that makes sense. So she did, she's an empath fairy, so she feels everyone else's feelings all the time, never turns off, unless she has her music on and her headphones on. It's the only time she can turn it off. Yeah, so Musa is an empath, but honestly, that's really cool. It's a really cool power, and interesting power, and like, it's very, it makes more sense than the music one, in regards to, like, you know, what's really, like, more interesting and intriguing, is what she could do with this empathic power. So it's really cool. I'm okay with it, and I do like the actress they chose for her, and she played her so well. And I really did, and I do enjoy Musa's character. Terra is a cousin of Flora. So Flora is mentioned, but is not there. Terra is very sweet, very quirky and awkward and talkative, a lot like me. Yeah. But I love her. I see myself in Terra. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I do love Terra. She is very relatable, and can stand up for herself, and stronger than you think she is. So I do enjoy Terra. She's very realistic. She's a very realistic character. And then, of course, Stella. Stella being, is a princess. Queen Luna, her mom, rules Solaria. Very important person. Her mom's very important. Her mom's a bitch. So she feels she needs to be a bitch because that's the way her mom is, and that's the way her mom wants her to be, is like her. So Stella's under a lot of pressure, and that's why she's so bitchy in the beginning of the series, in the beginning episodes. She gets better later on. Thankfully, she does develop more, stops being so bitchy, and becomes more open, and more honest with everyone, and really opens up to how she really feels about her mom and everything surrounding her situation. So we do get more into that, and it's nice to see that development, because you hate her at first. You're like, oh my god. But she does get better. She's basically Chloe Bourgeois in the beginning of the series, and she develops later into our Stella, more so into our Stella. So she definitely has development, and learns by the end of the 6th episode. She really learns to lean on herself more and rely on herself more and be more open, because she doesn't want to be her mom. She wants to be her, not her mom. So she really starts to learn to rely on herself and stop leaning on Sky and everyone else, or, you know, on Sky mostly, and stuff. And, really, her and Sky are kind of like Adrian and Chloe, except for in a love relationship kind of thing at first, with a romantic issue right there. And then, Sky really opens her eyes to the truth of her being like her mom, acting like her mom. So if she doesn't want like her mom, why is she acting like her? So, you know, really opens up her eyes to that a lot. And, yeah, so Stella definitely has a lot of development, and I love character development. So for me, I'm very excited to see that. So yeah, she became a character I really didn't like at first, to a character I'm like, okay, all right. Iconic line of, my ideas rock. My ideas are the best. That line is great. It'll be in episode 5. But yeah, so to see her really bonding with everyone, truly bonding later in the season, is very exciting. I know it's only 6 episodes, but man, it feels like an entire season. I tell you what, a lot can happen in 6 episodes. Holy crap. And they fit a whole season in there. Whew. So yeah, so Stella has a lot of development. So if you hate her for being a bitch at first, that does get better. Just take some time. And some shit to happen first, before we can get there. Yeah, so, and then last but not least, Aisha. Not really sure to say about her. She is a swimmer, and she does have water powers, which made more sense in the original series. In the original series, we had a lot of, her powers were like pink. Her bubbles were pink and stuff, so I didn't really think that was water. And I'm really glad that they made it look like normal water and stuff here, so like that makes more sense. Even it's always been water, it's just, yeah. And Aisha's not a princess in this. She used to be on a swim team. She's not part mermaid, unlike the original series. She used to be on the swim team, so she always goes swimming twice a day, every day. So, and the fun things about being on swim team is like not like having to disregard privacy, is just a normal thing. I enjoyed that a lot because I was on the swim team for 4 years. So I had to learn to not, you have to learn when there's a whole empty room with just shower heads, nothing in between. So you're just standing in the room, showering in front of other people. You all, you know, like rinsing off or just like washing your hair and body and your normal shower stuff after getting out of the pool and stuff. Like you have to, or at the very least rinse off. But especially if you're going to school after, like you definitely want to get all of that off you, and clean up for real. And changing clothes. Like you have to know how to be naked in front of other people. You have to get comfortable with it. Like, you can't, like, there is no privacy. When you're in swimming, you learn. Privacy is not a thing. You can't, it's just not, you gotta get over it. You've gotta get over, I mean, at least they're girls. You know, it's all just in the same gender and stuff. So it's not like it's on guys or anything, but still, it's just a thing. You just gotta get over it. So I was very excited when that little tidbit Tara learned the hard way. About, and it's like, oh, Tara, you're like a beginner. You're not comfortable changing in front of people when it's like, and Aisha just comes in the bathroom and just pees while she's talking to Tara, and she's like, and you're just gonna pee in front of me, and it's like, not a big deal. It really isn't. So, yeah, that was a really fun tidbit for Aisha that I enjoyed a lot, because I relate to that a lot, going from Tara to Aisha's level of comfortability. Aisha is very strict, I don't want to say she's kind of a tattletale a bit. She's very to the book. She likes to follow the rules. And so she's a lot more strict in this series. And we know we didn't get her to the second season, and even then she likes to be more fun and adventurous, but in this one she's more of, I would say, a teacher's pet. It's not always a bad thing, but sometimes can really tick people off. So, but she can be fun. Like with Musa and stuff, she, revealing, like, yeah, she can be fun, but she really wasn't my favorite character. I enjoyed Musa a lot in Bloom. I enjoyed the, Musa, Tara, and Bloom were kind of my favorites. Stella got better. Aisha's, like, to me, it's like, not really sure how I feel about her. But you make those decisions on your own, too. Don't just go by what I say. I don't know how I feel about Aisha's character. But I don't want to say anything, like, she's not awful. She just, I don't know. I don't know if I would hang out with her. That's a personal preference, you know. So I'm not gonna say any more about Aisha on that. So yeah. We get a bad guy called Beatrix. She is a student who is trying to free a kind of bad lady that Farragonda has trapped in the school, and Beatrix is trying to figure out how to free her. So, she, yeah, so Beatrix is essentially a bad guy, and all of that, so that's fun to deal with. She's very realistic, and all of that, but yeah, you don't know whether to trust her or not, really. She's one of those kind of characters. You're just like, she's technically the bad guy. Very manipulative person. Let's just say that. She's very manipulative. But yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but that's just Beatrix. That's all I really have to say about her. She's important, of course, but yeah. Her and Bloom. Her and Bloom go for a joyride. That's great. The supposed bad guy and Bloom have some girl time together. They go for a joyride, and Bloom's like, I don't know if I could trust you. She's like, I wouldn't either. Let's go. It's like, oh, great. So yeah, her and Bloom, that was a fun episode. That was fun. Oh. A lot revealed in that episode. Once Beatrix realized Bloom is super important. Anyways, Riven and Sky are two specialists. We have to deal with 3 specialists in this series, really, for the most part, which is, or for the kids at least, Sky, Riven, and Dane, who's a new character they've invented. Riven and Sky are roommates, and Riven is kind of Sky's best friend-ish. And Riven takes Dane under his wing, and Dane's a really nice guy who really likes Tara, and then he kind of becomes so different when he looks up to Riven, which is kind of sad, and starts like smoking like he does, like doing weed and stuff and drinking, and it's like, oh, you could be so much better than this, Dane. So unfortunately Dane gets in with the wrong crowd, and yeah, So, but he's a really sweet kid, and I hope to see more of him coming back to that originally. To who he originally was, because he's going down kind of a bad path. Riven is a dick. He just is, basically. He's a delinquent, and yeah. I don't like Riven, but the thing is, that's so in character for him. It is so in character for him. Riven's completely in character. Realistically wise, so this is an adult show and not a kid's show. Yes, he's smoking. Yes, he's drinking. And he's being a dick. And all of that. It's just like, that makes sense. It is perfectly in character for Riven. I'm just really glad Riven and Musa aren't a thing in this series, because that was a very unhealthy and hard relationship to watch. And Musa has a better boyfriend in this that treats her so well and like really cares about her feelings and like is so much better for her. And I'm so excited to see Musa with someone who really deserves to be with her. So I'm excited to have a healthy relationship for Musa in this series, unlike the original series. So I'm very excited about that. So Riven and Musa are not a thing whatsoever. I don't even think they ever really interact with each other much. So going on to Sky, I left him for last. Sky is very complicated. He's probably the most complex character. He is and isn't. He lost his father, and has to live up to the ideal of his father. His head teacher Silver is the one who was closest friends with his father, so he's practically a second father to him. So he, he has a lot to live up to, and being the best. And the very first thing we get of him, he seems very cocky. But he actually really isn't. It's just the first episode really wasn't his best episode. His first appearance and stuff, we just don't see him in the best light. But he's a lot better later on. I like him a lot more. Just that first episode wasn't the greatest. But we do get more development with Sky. And Sky and Bloom don't jump together right away. There is an obvious chemistry, but Bloom doesn't want to get involved. She repeatedly, the first couple episodes, says, "You are a stranger to me. What I think about you doesn't matter, and what you think about me doesn't matter. We are strangers. I barely know you. So, yes, there's a chemistry, but it's not, she has enough problems and complications in her life. She does not need the complications of Sky and Stella to deal with." So, yeah. So, she, the complication of Sky and Stella's jealousy and all of that, Stella's jealousy of Sky and things and all of that complicated stuff, she doesn't need that in her life right now. So she does, they do not get together to the end of the season. So, and even then, they're not necessarily official. Just a couple kisses, that was it. So, they're not necessarily an official thing yet. So, I'm very glad they took that nice and slow, really had them become friends first, with undeniable chemistry, but really getting to know each other's friends before anything romantic ever happened. So that was good. I did enjoy the way they did that to build up with the Bloom and Sky thing. So that definitely tracked well. That matched up with the series very well. And though, of course, there wasn't a Sky Stella thing going on at all. But considering they didn't have Brandon in there, then I guess they kind of shortcutted that. But, it all tied in very well and made sense. And it gave everyone room for development. It gave Stella room for development and learning. and all of that. So, yeah, Stella and now talking about interconnected relationships, and more so, really the only one I want to talk about is Stella and Bloom. Bloom is figuring things out, and as Stella goes through the series, we learn more about her and her struggles, and why she's the bitch. And she becomes less of a bitch and really starts like revealing that she actually does respect and like Bloom. She does kind of want to take her under her wing, and she does want to help Bloom, and she really does care about Bloom. She, it takes time to really understand that. It's just her jealousy of Sky and everything, and all this other stuff going on that she really just doesn't want to show it. But it is nice to see in the end Stella does actually care about Bloom, no matter, even though the whole series so far we've seen, it almost seemed like she didn't at all. So that was nice to see. I want to see them become closer friends. That was very nice. It was funny because one of the interviews apparently that they did, that the cast members, the main characters did, revealed that a lot of people apparently say that the Bloom Stella scene, which was actually apparently the first time those actresses were ever on set together, was when Stella was trying to get Bloom angry in order to summon her power and learn how to connect with her emotions, and was trying, training her and showing her, because that's what she's been showed by her mother, so, who is not a great person. Stella's mom is a bitch, and she's horrible and awful, and I don't like her. So, but that was their first really time connecting with each other, the Stella and Bloom kind of, they kind of, everyone in the interview said, like, there was nothing straight about that scene. and even the actress herself, Hannah, that plays Stella, is just like, yeah, no, I totally see it, man. Anything with Stella doesn't seem that way. It's like, that's hilarious. That the actress herself even admits it. It's great. But yeah, the actress of Stella is actually more like Stella than how they had her portray her in the beginning of the series. So it was really funny. So yeah, so they become closer friends, and I'm excited to see in the second season, Stella and Bloom getting closer, because originally they were the original best friends. So yeah, there's more about the series. I'm not actually gonna get into, because my video is splitting up on me. There is more in the episode, in the series altogether that's different. Like, obviously the spoilers at the very end of the season, and stuff that is very different. But I'm only talking about the characters in this video. And really, there's no wings. That was another big difference I noticed. I'm gonna kind of rattle a couple off. The dragon's flame does get revealed in the last episode. Spoiler there. So there's no wings until the last episode. Bloom finally gets her wings. Really, Sky's not a prince. Stella is a princess. There's no Techna. Musa has non-musical powers, but empathetic powers instead. We've got Sky, Riven, and all of that. There's an air element that Beatrix has, that's kind of like Stormy's powers a bit. So, that makes sense. But I don't think she's a witch, though. Not sure about that. That's not confirmed or not confirmed. So, I'm gonna assume she's a fairy. But yeah, so, yeah, the girls sneak out of the barrier and stuff a lot and get in trouble a lot, which is totally exactly what happened in the original series too. They definitely got that on the pin, on the nose, on that, with those girls sneaking out and getting in trouble in lectures from Farragonda a lot, because that did happen. They got punished quite a bit in the original series, probably more than they did in this one, honestly. They got away with a lot in this series, though with everything going on and stuff, it actually does make sense. But yeah, so yeah, that's all I'm really gonna say about it. I'm not gonna get to everything because this could be 2 or 3 hours long if I did that. I'm gonna go into, Farragonda is Farragonda. Honestly, she's basically the same. More in depth. I will say she's more in depth. But basically the same. Yeah, a lot that's kind of the main character differences and stuff. Watch the show if you really want to know about the world difference. I don't even understand it really that well, so you can understand that for yourself. But that's all I really want to talk about was characters. So that's what this video is about, and that's what I talked about. So otherwise, yeah, a lot of development. Everyone has some development throughout the series, some more than others. And I honestly, my overall review of the series is it's a good series. I enjoyed it a lot, and I encourage you to go watch it. I liked the series. There were changes that I didn't and did like, so that was definitely like, I didn't like that there weren't wings, but then we got them in the last episode. I didn't like that there wasn't as much royalty like the original, which I kind of liked more, having all the royal stuff going on. But the only royal we do get, Stella's mom is a bitch, so frankly, I really don't want more royalty. I'm almost glad there isn't. And then we have that's really the biggest thing that I didn't like. So those are only the biggest things I didn't like. The burned ones are a mystery still. So we'll see about that. I'm still very curious about where their origins are from. I'm honestly hoping it's Lord Darkar, so for more connections. But yeah, because Bloom seems connected to them, so it's like, so yeah. But otherwise, really, I don't like horror so much, so it did get creepy and scary. Like, they definitely had horror features in this, or at least horrifying scenes to me. I'm just not into horror or anything very much, so like, I don't like scary stuff and gory stuff, and there are some of those things in this series, so forewarning, if you don't like that, not saying don't watch it, but it's just keep in mind that those are elements in the show. So they definitely make it adult. I had to look away a couple times. It's a little squeamish of it, but it never lasted overly long, so it's not like the focus of the show, so thankfully that's the only reason I can tolerate it. But yeah, they definitely made the burned ones, the monsters, very terrifying. So they definitely did that. They got rid of the witches. Other than Asterdale being a place of witches and stuff, they really got rid of the witches. So I'm like, what the heck? So the Specialist and Althea Fairies live in the same school and everything, but like, the witches are completely gone. Cloud Tower and stuff. So I'm a little peeved about that. But otherwise, I really don't have much more negative things to say about the show. I know all of you are like, oh, negative, or at least Americans, it seems. Us Americans apparently can't take a change. I don't know why it's so hard to accept that, but there's just been a lot of bad things coming from Americans about this reboot, and I don't agree with it. I am American, but I do not agree with it whatsoever. So I rather enjoy the show, and I'm okay with the changes. I went into it with an open mind, so I came out with it with an open mind. So, you know, I mean, there were some things I didn't like, but, you know, in any show you're going to see that. So, yeah. Especially if there's already a previous fan following and you are an original fan. So, but because of budgeting reasons and thinking of the writer's point of views of how they can budget making these powers and making this stuff, like the technology thing made sense, that they would nix that. The music thing made sense because it was just more interesting with the empathy. The technology thing, you really just, the budget for that would not have been, and having the wings right away, I understand the budgeting would have been massive. Trying with those effects and everything, that is just like, I understand why they had to wait for the wings. So that made sense to me. So really, everything, all the decisions they made for it make sense. So from a director's point of view and a storyboard writer's point of view, and also making this a more adult show than a kid's show, which there's going to be a lot of differences because of that. So, you know, I mean, I understand, I get it, and I actually still really enjoyed this show. So I really enjoyed it. I encourage all of you to go watch it. Get past the first episode. You know, in any series, the first episode is probably the worst, just because you're just getting to know these characters for the first time. You're just getting introduced, and you don't have any development yet. So get past the first episode. Really, if anything, just binge the whole 6 episodes before you really put a harsh judgment on it. It's not the original series. It's not gonna be the original series. It's taking original concepts from the series and reworking them into something more plausible and more, especially for live action and not cartoon, which makes more sense. I'm a cartoon person, so I prefer the actual fairies and stuff. Or at least, like, I prefer cartoons over live action for those reasons. But regardless, accept, you know, go in with an open mind and be okay with changes, and see it from a realistic point of view if you were the director, and you had a budget to go by for all this stuff, because it's expensive, of how to do these effects and everything. So, like, really think realistically about it, why they had to make these changes and how they managed to work around it and still make it work in a really interesting and fascinating way. So please go in with an open mind and really understand that this series is good. It's not the same as it's not the exact original that we thought it would be, and that a lot of people hoped it would be, but it is still a good series. And it's a good watch. It does have entertaining aspects to it, and I mean, it is cool and it's good, and I'm excited for the second season. I really enjoyed it. So that's my review of the series, and how I felt about it. So this is Sarah Lilioka for life, signing off. Go watch Fate. It's on Netflix. And have a great day, guys. Bye.